Cowboys fans, we need to talk about the injury situation because it is starting to pile up and it's shaping up to be a real challenge for Week 5. Starting with the offensive line, Tyler Booker's ankle issue is keeping him off the field again. This isn't exactly a shock, as the team has been cautious with him. It's clear he's not going to play this week. The timeline for his return still leaves some hope for the near future, but for now, the Cowboys have to figure out life without one of their key linemen. Then there's Tyler Gayton, who's in concussion protocol. Concussions are notoriously unpredictable, and that uncertainty is frustrating because it's not just about missing practice. It's about chemistry and consistency up front. The offensive line relies heavily on timing, communication, and cohesion, and every practice missed is a disruption. Nathan Thomas is being moved around to cover potential gaps, but there's no real substitute for a healthy starter. So the coaching staff is juggling pieces, hoping to keep things steady. Adding to the concern, Tyler Smith had an MRI on his knee, leaving his status completely unknown. Smith has been a cornerstone for the Cowboys' offensive front, a player who provides leadership and skill, and losing him would be a massive blow. The offensive line is already a patchwork of injuries and adjustments, with Cooper Beebe and Robert Jones sidelined, and now multiple Tylers in flux. There's even a scenario where only one healthy starting offensive lineman is available, which would be an alarming situation, especially against a tough defensive front. In response, options like Trevor Keegan, Hakeem Denny, and even practice squad call-ups are being considered, but none of them truly replicate the experience or consistency that the starters bring. Facing a strong defensive line under these conditions is going to be a serious test for the Cowboys' offense. Moving over to the receiving core, CeeDee Lamb will be out against the Jets, which is a situation that has been expected but still hurts the team. Lamb's absence creates a void in the offense, especially in the slot where his presence is so impactful. Cavonte Turpin is also listed as questionable with a foot injury, similar to what Don Bland experienced, which previously cost the Cowboys a couple of games. Turpin has been utilized heavily in motion and in the slot, so his potential absence raises questions about depth and strategy. The wide receiving group is in flux, and healthy options are now limited to George Pickens, Jalen Tolbert, and Ryan Finley, with Jonathan Mingo possibly returning from injury and being activated this week. Jalen Carter might see action as well, particularly for special teams and as a slot option, giving the Cowboys a slightly deeper rotation but still leaving key gaps. The team also has to figure out who will handle return duties, with Turpin and potentially Miles Sanders out. Jaden Blue could see more opportunities as a returner, and this could become a pivotal week for him to show his value in that role. The backfield has its own challenges. Miles Sanders has an ankle and knee injury that puts his participation in doubt. Even though he has shown flashes this season, his injuries limit his explosiveness and reliability. With Sanders potentially out, Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue, and Hunter Lipke will have to carry the load, which may actually give the offense a different dynamic. It's a mix of risk and opportunity for the Cowboys, and the coaching staff will have to carefully balance touches to keep the offense effective while protecting players from further injury. Every snap, every alignment, and every motion play needs to be considered with the current lineup. On the defensive side, Malik Hooker is set to miss several weeks with a toe injury, which could potentially push him to injured reserve, opening up a roster spot and allowing other players like Jonathan Mingo or Elijah Clark from the practice squad to step in. Bridges has experience at safety from his college days, which could provide a temporary solution, but the team will need to adapt carefully. Kenneth Murray and Trayvon Diggs are limited in practice, but expected to play, and Don Bland should also be back. While these are positive notes, they are small reprieves in a landscape otherwise dominated by uncertainty and missing pieces. The complexity of all these injuries isn't just about missing players. It's about how each absence affects rotations, chemistry, and overall strategy. Offensive line instability impacts run blocking, pass protection, and timing for the quarterback. Missing Lamb and Turpin changes route combinations, limits options in the slot, and forces other receivers to shoulder more responsibility. The return game is suddenly a guessing game, where coaches have to weigh risk against potential yardage and avoid jeopardizing players who are already in key roles. Running backs have to adjust their blocking assignments and carry extra weight, which can affect stamina and performance as the game unfolds. Even minor injuries in this environment can have outsized effects. When one player is limited, it can ripple across multiple units. The offensive line reshuffling affects running backs, who must find new lanes. The missing wide receivers change coverage schemes and defensive matchups, and defensive injuries shift safety and linebacker responsibilities, creating potential mismatches for opposing offenses. Every coach, player, and staff member has to operate with a heightened level of awareness, because one misstep or miscommunication could be amplified by the thin roster depth. The Cowboys are navigating a complex puzzle of availability, readiness, and in-game decision-making, which makes Week 5 a true test of adaptability and resilience. While the injury report seems daunting, there's signs of hope. Players like Mingo and Kalen Carson have their practice windows activated, giving the team options to bring them back into the fold strategically. This process allows the Cowboys to gradually reintegrate key contributors without overloading them or forcing them into action before they are fully ready. It's a balancing act, as every player must regain confidence, conditioning, and timing with the first team, while coaches must design plays that maximize impact and minimize risk. The timing of these returns could be crucial, potentially providing the boost the Cowboys need in the next few weeks, if executed properly. Meanwhile, there are still players like Demarion Overshone, Savon Rebel, Josh Butler, and Phil Maffa whose return timelines remain uncertain. These long-term injuries, while less immediate in their impact, highlight the fragility of depth across the roster. Managing the long-term health of these players, while maintaining competitiveness week to week, is a strategic challenge. Each week, the team has to weigh the cost of rushing someone back against the potential benefit, and that decision-making process has ripple effects across special teams, defensive rotations, and offensive schemes. With all these moving parts, Week 5 is shaping up to be a real test of adaptability for the Cowboys. The team will need to lean on depth players, adjust schemes, and rely on players stepping up in roles they may not have occupied before. Injuries have created an environment where preparation, flexibility, and in-game adjustments are more important than ever. Fans should be prepared for an unpredictable game, where resilience and quick thinking will be just as crucial as talent on the field. The coming week will tell a lot about the Cowboys' ability to adapt, and every snap will carry extra weight as the team navigates these challenges. Turning our attention more closely to the receiving group, the Cowboys are facing a week where depth and versatility are more critical than ever. With CeeDee Lamb out and KaVontae Turpin sidelined, the responsibility shifts to the remaining healthy receivers, including George Pickens, Jalen Tolbert, and Ryan Finley. Each of these players will need to step up in ways that they might not have been asked to before, particularly in high-leverage situations and against a Jets defense that will be looking to exploit mismatches. The absence of the top receivers forces the coaching staff to adjust routes, motion patterns, and play designs, leaning on creativity and adaptability to compensate for the missing firepower. It's a challenge, but also an opportunity for these players to showcase their ability to impact the game in meaningful ways. Jonathan Mingo's potential return adds a glimmer of optimism. After a multi-week absence due to injury, he could provide a crucial option in the slot, adding both speed and a physical presence that can help spread the defense. His practice window being activated gives the Cowboys flexibility, allowing him to be integrated into the game plan at the optimal moment. Jalen Crariper is another player who could see action primarily on special teams and as a slot receiver. He offers versatility that the Cowboys will need to lean on, especially in coverage and return situations. The uncertainty in these roles puts added pressure on coaches to make the right personnel decisions and on players to execute precisely under game conditions. Special teams are another area impacted heavily by these injuries. With Turpin and Sanders out for returns, the Cowboys have to evaluate who can handle kick and punt duties safely and effectively. Jaden Blue emerges as a prime candidate for the kick return role, with his speed and vision giving the Cowboys a potential spark in field position battles. Tolbert, though an option, is now a more central figure in the receiving rotation, which may limit his ability to take on returns without risking injury. Juan Thomas has had return experience in the past, but is now starting at safety, creating a ripple effect across assignments. Cowper could fill in for punt coverage or returns, but each adjustment carries risk and requires precision to avoid costly errors. These decisions will not only affect field position, but could also influence the pace and momentum of the game, making each choice critical. The running back room, while seemingly stable, also carries its own set of questions. Miles Sanders' ankle and knee issues leave his participation uncertain, and even if he plays, his effectiveness may be limited. Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue, and Hunter Lipke will likely see increased snaps, providing a different dynamic for the Cowboys' ground game. This rotation could allow for fresher legs and an opportunity to attack defenses with multiple styles of running. But it also requires careful management to ensure that the offensive line can handle the increased tempo and that ball security remains a priority. Each backfield snap now comes with an extra layer of strategic consideration, balancing opportunity with the potential for further injury or fatigue. Defensively, the Cowboys have some minor relief, though concerns remain. Malik Hooker's toe injury sidelines him for several weeks, potentially pushing him to injured reserve. This would free up a roster spot, but also requires the team to adjust its safety rotation and coverage responsibilities. Kenneth Murray and Trayvon Diggs, both limited in practice, are expected to play, providing a measure of stability. Don Bland should also be back, which strengthens depth in critical positions. However, the defensive adjustments required by injuries elsewhere could still create vulnerabilities, particularly if the offense they face is aggressive and capable of exploiting mismatches. The team will need to maintain focus, execute precise assignments, and communicate effectively to mitigate any disadvantages caused by the changing roster. Looking at players returning from injured reserve, both Jonathan Mingo and Kalen Carson bring hope. Mingo, having completed a significant portion of his recovery, could slot into the receiving core seamlessly if managed correctly. Carson, recovering from a high ankle sprain, has been out for almost a year but offers experience and depth in the defensive backfield, potentially providing a boost in coverage schemes. These returns, while positive, also demand careful reintegration. The coaching staff will have to balance reps, monitor physical readiness, and ensure that these players regain confidence and timing with the first team. Any misstep could slow momentum or risk injury, so precision in planning and execution is key. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Terry McLaurin, the shining star of the Washington Commanders, is reportedly leaving the nation's capital, and fans are already buzzing about where he might land next. Sources close to the situation hint that McLaurin's next stop could be none other than the Dallas Cowboys, igniting a wildfire of speculation across the NFL. The thought of McLaurin suiting up in silver and blue has supporters and critics alike talking, with social media exploding over the possibility. The wide receiver has been one of Washington's most reliable offensive weapons, known for his explosive speed, precise route running, and knack for making clutch plays in critical moments. His departure, if true, would mark a dramatic shift for the Commanders, leaving a significant hole in their passing game and sending shockwaves through a fan base still grappling with last season's ups and downs. Washington's front office has yet to comment, but insiders suggest negotiations have reached an advanced stage, fueling the rumor mill even further. Meanwhile, the Cowboys, always on the hunt for offensive firepower, would gain a player capable of immediately transforming their receiving core. Pairing McLaurin with Dak Prescott could create one of the most dynamic duos in the league, giving Dallas fans a reason to believe that this rumored move could finally push the team deep into playoff contention. Analysts are already debating the potential impact, imagining highlight reels of McLaurin weaving through defenders at AT&T Stadium and making defenders look foolish with his trademark agility and determination. Of course, at this stage, everything remains speculative. McLaurin's camp has not released any official statements, and the Cowboys front office remains characteristically tight-lipped. But the excitement, the whispers, and the sheer audacity of the idea have NFL fans on edge. Could Washington truly be letting go of one of its brightest talents? Will Dallas finally get the offensive spark it has been craving? The rumor is spreading like wildfire, and whether it materializes or not, one thing is certain. The thought of Terry McLaurin in a Cowboys jersey is enough to keep the entire league talking. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.